way.
Hello.
Hi. You can vacuum
This is my dad. This
anytime
is
you
John.
need to. Don't let
Hi.
Susanna boss you around in your own house like
He was
that.
vacuuming.
Sorry about that, girls.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Call Up and our virtual AT&T 5G studios. I am Jillian Sakovitz alongside my best friend, Susanna Collins. Hey, girl.
Hey!
For those of you watching, gosh, today we have such a good interview in store for you. And we have one clue as to who it could be. We're just going to show you.
So if you're listening to this podcast, we are wearing hoodies and we are tying our little hoodie ties into a bow. And if you are a true MLS fan, you will know what this is in reference to.
This is in reference to our guest, the second most tenured coach in Major League Soccer, you best believe it, and the reigning MLS Coach of the Year, Jim Curtin. And he had, this is a standout interview for us. He said, it's not a matter of if, but when. MLS is a top league in the world. He's the epitome of good things happening to good people. And he talked about what youth development in the U.S. actually comes down to. Christian Pulisic, Brendan Aronson, Mark McKenzie, and how he instilled trust within the union to now become the second most tenured coach in MLS, despite the fact of maybe some kind of records and things that you want coming a little later for the Philadelphia Union. But it was a process, and the front office trusted him, and they're seeing the fruits of their labor. And now they just got their eye, Susanna Collins, on that one last thing, that MLS Cup. This is a good interview.
Also
You'll
CCL. Also, let's not forget CCL.
You're right.
Are the last remaining hope.
Extra Time Radio. Don't be mad at me. No disrespect to CCL.
But I loved this interview so much for many reasons. But Jim Curtin is one of the most thoughtful, mindful, intentional human beings that you will ever come across. Every single question we asked him, he answered so thoughtfully, and even down to the reason why he did this. He tied his hoodie. I mean, we got to the bottom of that as well. But he is such a good guy. You said it before. He's the epitome of good things happening to good people. And the Philadelphia Union have a gem in that one at the helm. So love this interview, and we think that you're going to love it too.
Susanna Collins, I'm feeling very refreshed because I just got back from Germany.
Yes, you did.
A little family vacay. And I have to tell you, I was very fortunate in my life to have some traveling abroad experience within our jobs or whatever it might be. And it was kind of like, I felt like a kid all over again that's like going on their first trip of being like, ooh, I'm in a big plane, or like, ooh, I have to show my passport. So like, I'm just kind of a silver lining of COVID was maybe the fact that you appreciated things like that all over again. Like, I looked through my passport for my stamp. Like, when was the last time you did that? You're like, oh, I want to look at my stamp. So I'm just feeling really good today. That's all.
I love that. I love that for you.
Let's get into here for this. And the first one is a little travel themed based off of that.
Okay.
I feel like kind of a bad person. And I have a serious question. Well, I think I just gave my hand away, but I have a question for you.
Okay.
All right. So you get on a plane and some rows are empty.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You didn't get that Delta One upgrade.
Didn't get that upgrade.
No, didn't get the Delta One upgrade. So you're already like, how do I go vertical? No, horizontal.
Horizontal.
How do I go horizontal on this 8-hour flight to Amsterdam, where the connection was? And some people were sitting like 3 people in the row, and I was in a 3-person row, and the flight took off and no one sat next to me. So then I see the mad dash once we get up in the air. Everyone's like scoping out like where they're going to move. And I'm feeling for the people that are 3 together. But I'm also like, I really would love to sleep on this flight.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be totally honest. I made myself look like the most unappealing neighbor in the world. Like this. Like, just looked totally crazy, threw my stuff everywhere, looked really dirty to make myself look as unappealing as possible to deter any neighbors from coming. And it worked. No one wanted to sit next to me.
Yep.
Is that's pretty bad.
No, it's Totally acceptable though.
Really?
I too have
you
have
done
done
it?
that. I have. Do you know what my move is though? And for whatever reason, this
Taking your
makes people
shoes off.
That's number one.
Okay, did that.
And then I have socks on. P.S. Everyone.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
gross. I'm not that gross.
No, bare
but
feet on an
this,
airplane are not
for
okay.
whatever reason, this makes people look at you like you are a different kind of cray. So I have one of those, it's like the neck pillow thing.
Okay, I had that.
Well, rather than putting it around and like sleeping like this, I will put it on my tray table and like rest my face in it.
Oh.
And people think that you're drunk and passed out, and they're like, ooh, or sick, or like I said, just crazy.
So you go like this.
Yes. And it has never failed me. Never failed me.
So
no
what
one
I
ever
did-
takes that seat.
I just did a big old side on the side of my head. I put out some snacks.
Yep.
And I was like, you are a bad person, because I like looked and I'm like, I think there's like 10 rows back. There's like 3 strangers that have to sit totally upright for this entire flight. And you just manipulated the system so that you could have 3 seats to yourself. And that is so rude.
There's a time and place to be selfish. And I believe that is one of them. On an
to
international
everyone
flight.
on Sunday's KLM flight from Amsterdam to JFK, I apologize because I'm sorry. Something else I'm here for today, and you know what I thought about coming into today's podcast was, okay, I got to wear a hoodie with a bow for Jim, but I also thought about putting a stocking or pantyhose over my head and surprising you, but I forgot. And that is that there was Kanye West, man, is Phantom of the Opera style, living in Mercedes-Benz Stadium as he finishes recording his album Donda. And he had a listening party or a concert a couple nights before the Atlanta United game. Lo and behold, 2 days later, Kanye's like, you know what? I'm going to wear my same outfit and I'm going to just walk around this Atlanta United game. And the pictures, I know you've all seen it, they are incredible, of just like a smush Kanye face because he has a stocking on his head, which we got to the bottom of Jim's stuff. I want to know what the bottom of that is.
Do we want to know? And you know what's crazy? Like, this weekend, there were a lot of other celebs at other MLS games. Like, we had the entire Ted Lasso cast pretty much at the LAFC game, which was so cool. And they're like rubbing shoulders with Mario Lopez. And I was like,
it was a star-studded.
And they were having fun. Yeah. And then, like, here comes Kanye, like harbinger of doom with this pantyhose over his head. And I'm like, really, man? Come on.
And I know that we're making fun in a way of his outfit. I know he struggled with mental health issues in the past, so I hope he is okay. But I hope he's always been a bit of a character even before that. So I'm just hoping he's that he's healthy, he's feeling good, and his natural kind of character, artistic self. Another character of Major League Soccer and a legend in himself, Jermaine Jones, taking to Twitter this weekend that I think during the Atlanta United game, he just tweets, I want to coach an MLS team. So Susanna Collins, my question for you is, what team should Jermaine Jones be the coach of? After he tweeted, coaching in MLS is a goal for me 100%.
Okay, so if you guys are not following Jermaine Jones on Instagram, Twitter, all that, please do. You are missing out. This man is nothing short of wildly entertaining with every post. And he puts it all out there. Like, he does not hold back. So, number one, go follow him. For this reason, this is the team that I would love to see.
Who?
Inter Miami, baby. Can you imagine the antics of Jermaine Jones in Miami? Because let's be honest, Miami, they're not doing so great. And Phil Neville, I think he's probably feeling a little hot in the collar right now, a little bit of pressure, team underperformance. So perhaps there will be a coaching vacancy at some point. We don't know. I'm speculating, but Jermaine Jones in Miami, worth it for that alone, because the content opportunities, the posts, you could let your imagination go completely wild, but he will put it out there and it will be ours to enjoy. All right. I pick Miami.
All right.
This is awesome. This is just awesome. So here for it. Could not be more here for it. Alex Scott. Okay, so if you guys don't know, she
Queen.
is a former player for the England women's national team. Played for the women's team Arsenal overseas. She is a pundit on Sky Sports, now part of the CBS sports coverage of Champions League. She's incredible. She's absolutely incredible. So this is so cool. She is going to be the first English-speaking female commentator in FIFA 22, which is so incredible. Number one, long overdue. But how awesome is that we are going to have a woman as one of the main commentators? And she said this about it. She said, the opportunity is game-changing. Representation is crucial, and the inclusion of an English-speaking female commentator on FIFA is a game changer. The impact it will have is simply stratospheric, a big moment for me personally and professionally. So all of these young kids, and we know, I have seen this firsthand, how gaming is sort of the entryway into soccer for a lot of these. Exactly. And these, especially for these EMLS teams, like when they have to use EMLS players in certain tournaments, this is what creates fandom. And so to have now a woman, a female voice as part of this very, very influential, huge movement, especially amongst the younger generation, I think it is so awesome. I cannot think of a better
Well, you know what, to me, Suze, it kind of paves the way for is you and I, me covering E-League, you covering EMLS. Like, the one thing that you see amongst the gamers is they are almost all male. Mm-hmm. So for me, this is like just a step in the direction of like, why aren't the gamers female? And you know what? Having that, hearing the voice of someone that you can relate to, like, just opens doors and things that, like, beyond that. And to me, that's the biggest part of, like, who does that open the door for?
Time now for our AT&T 5G call to the field. Fresh off yet another contract extension. The reigning coach of the year in Major League Soccer, Philadelphia Union head coach Jim Curtin. It is so good to finally get you on the call.
Yay!
Thanks so much for having me, girls. Great to be here.
Yay! You're at the beach right now? You just told us? I am.
Yeah, the guys have the day off. I won't bore you with we have a place down in Seattle City that we come to during the summers, and I just kind of commute back and forth from Philly, which is only about an hour drive from training. So it's worth it to spend the time on the beach with the family and the kids after a hard day's work at practice.
So smart.
Jim, we have to ask you. So when we were doing all of our research, we think of you, Jim, and this is a compliment, as like, one of the younger, hipper coaches in the league. And then you start doing your research and you've been with the Union forever, head coach since 2014, but you are the second longest tenured coach in Major League Soccer. And like, when did that happen?
Yeah.
It did happen fast. I agree with you. I got old quick, and in my brain, I still consider myself one of the younger coaches in the league. And then, I just actually looked at the age of the Charlotte coach that just got signed for next year, and I went, "Oh, that used to be me." I used to be the young guy, and now I'm not. But I appreciate the cool part. I'm trying in the locker room to stay hip with these young guys, and at least try to. Maybe the one commonality we have is I can at least connect with them on some sneaker stuff, but other than that, they're cooler than me for sure. And sometimes you just have to accept that I have 3 kids now, have a teenager now, so I'm at the stage where I'm becoming less and less cool as the days go on. But I'm hanging on by a thread.
You're doing great, and we're gonna talk on some of the fashion things in just a bit, because you're very high on our list. We'll just put it that way.
That's nice. Thank you.
But Jim, you also, we know you as the Philadelphia Union head coach, but you were an awesome player in the league for a very long time. You played on some epic teams, specifically with the Chicago Fire, the team that drafted you. Teammates like Carlos Bocanegra, Chris Armas, Ante Razov, Zach Thornton. What are some of your favorite memories about your playing days?
Oh man, you just named some great friends, some great long-term guys that I still talk and text with every day. And it's no coincidence. Look, you said I was a great player. I got lucky and made an all-star team because I was on a great team and I had great players around me. So that made my job really easy. So I was a role player, like many coaches. I think I kind of saw the game at a young age as a coach, and the names you just named were guys I played next to and was around, and you couldn't help but learn. Bob Bradley was our leader. Jesse Marsh was on the team as well. You mentioned Josh. You didn't even mention Josh Wolf was on that team. So there's I think we went through it. There's 14 or 15 guys that I played with in Chicago, and I was the young guy at the time. Going back to that youth thing, making me feel young. It's nice. I think I was 20, 21 years old, and I was around all these guys that were 5, 6 years older than me, and they just created such an environment that you had to see the game like a coach, and we did so hard against each other, and the practices were so intense that you couldn't help but learn. So I owe everything to those guys, and they're still close friends now. And I'll just say we had a lot of fun off the field together as well. The cell phones weren't involved back then, so we could be at a Cubs game at 12 in the afternoon and having a good time, and nobody bothered us or nobody took videos or got us in any trouble. So we had I'll just say we had a really fun group of guys, and we also won a lot of games together, and that always helps build that camaraderie. So I take so much from that group of players. It's awesome that you even brought that up, because that's where it all started for me as a coach and thinking like a coach.
It makes me the Chicago connection warms my heart. I'm a Chicago
Great
girl.
city.
I am a huge Cubs fan, and I think you'll agree.
Chicago's Stormers up against any city in the world.
Thank you. And
right.
There is nothing like being in the bleachers at Wrigley Field for a day game with your old style. Am I correct, Jim Curtin?
You are correct, and it makes me think, though, does anyone work in Chicago? It'll be 12 in the afternoon on a Thursday, and people are falling down on themselves. It's a fun time.
A lot of people calling in sick during those day games. It's not a coincidence.
Jim, you mentioned some of the guys you hung out with or went to the day games with, and don't sell yourself short. You're a 2004 All-Star. But we have to ask someone from that team, who did you learn the most from, and who is still like your closest friend?
Oh man, you're making me pick. You got a cat in the background. I got a dog over here that could fight that cat.
Yeah,
we love June cameos on the call up.
Hi, June. Thank you.
That was a good jump.
She's an athlete.
You're like trying to make me pick like my favorite kid or something. Like there isn't one. So it's all those guys were great. Look, probably the closest, the one that I still call and talk with the most, I would say is Jesse. Just because we've obviously have a player that we've shared now in Brendan Aronson, so we stay in close contact with him and his progress through the years. So I went and visited him at Salzburg last off season. So we're still very close, but Chris Armas is still a guy I keep in touch with. Ante Razov's the guy I lived with in Hermosa Beach together when we played at Chivas together. So we have a lot of, strong connections. You'll always call them, and I'll go out for a beer every once in a while. The visits are fewer and far between now, but because we all have kids and stuff, but that was a fun group of guys. Carlos is a great guy as well. So, you could go through the list. It's a lot of humble, down to earth guys that, like to have fun off the field, but also did their thing on the field as well and had good careers. DeMarcus Beasley too. There's so many good guys.
Hey, DeMarcus.
DeMarcus. That guy. Yeah, I feel like that could be an entire podcast series. Just stories. Exactly. Let's make it happen. We're going to executive produce this thing. It's going to be great. Jim, one of the things that we love and respect so much about you is your coaching philosophy, and you've talked about how, for you, maybe, the X's and O's kind of come secondary to getting to know your guys as human beings, getting them to earn your trust, which it just creates such a positive environment. And that's something that we can see. It's reflected in the product on the field. So when you kind of think back, you've said that you sort of you've taken things from every manager that you've had to kind of morph into the coach that you are today. Who do you think was your most influential coaching mentor to date?
Look, I think you touched on a great point. I think at the end of the day, as a coach, you're just a teacher. You're in a leadership position for sure. Just as you girls are leading the way on this platform, so we have a responsibility, I think, and it's really just to create good relationships and try to empower the people around us to get better every day. So that applies to players, that applies to coaching staff, and you're right, like the X's and O's, and yes, they matter, and you can talk about making a good sub in the 75th minute and changing a formation. And yes, those things matter. But everywhere I've gone in this game and seen clubs at the highest level or heard great speakers speak at Harvard or, done different business classes and learned different things that way, it all comes back to the relationships that you create in your environment. If you don't have good relationships where people don't feel empowered or like they're going to get better and grow and move forward, you're wasting your time. And I think often you see, whether it's companies that fail, whether it's soccer teams that fail, whether it's whatever that doesn't go well, it's because those relationships aren't there. And trust, and you have to have people go off in the corners and ones and twos and talk about how negative things are and I should be playing or I should be getting this many minutes, and things fall apart, and it can fall apart quickly. So you're really just in the leadership position trying to get the most out of everybody and creating an environment where everybody wants to get better and everybody feels like they have a say in things. And look, we have 15, 16-year-old kids in our locker room now, and I have 34, 35-year-old men that are fighting for their family. You know what I mean? So it's a really tough blend of things. We have 15 different countries represented in the locker room, so there's different cultures. You have to get everything out of them. But for me in the game, I had a great mentor at Villanova University. His name was Larry Sullivan. Ironically, I coach his nephew Quinn Sullivan now, so that's how. Gosh, we're going back to the age thing. I'm feeling older and older, but he's doing great things for us on the sideline. But he was my mentor and coach at Villanova. Obviously, I went on to the pros and had Bob Bradley, so I was lucky. I really fell into being around great people that were great leaders, and I took a lot of lessons from them along the way.
Well, you answered like our next 5 questions. Just
I know, it's great.
It's fantastic about how and why the Union have been able to have success, and it goes so much with what you're saying there, Jim, about relationships and bringing the best out in your players and things like that. So let's do a little look back, Jim. You are Mr. Pennsylvania, born and raised there. You started with the academy after you retired in 2010, assistant coach in 2012, took over as interim, and then head coach in 2014. And it's really been a process of trust. The Union missed the playoffs in 2 of the first 3 seasons you were there. Didn't win a playoff game until 2019. Then the Supporter Shield last year. Also, Siggy Schmidt, Coach of the Year. You told Tom Bogart in his awesome article that the struggles of getting booed by an entire stadium has helped you at times. How important are those kind of moments of being humbled in this league?
It's everything. I think being humbled and having self-awareness is kind of it's necessary, for anybody to get better in any job or any profession. You have to be a little bit brave to just jump right in. And I remember when I retired at age 30, which I still wanted to be playing, but there was a moment where you can either chase this thing around the country, and I had children at the time, and take less and less money and maybe be selfish and do that, or you can kind of settle down and be where you want to be. And that was Philadelphia for me. And I got humbled right away. My first day on the job coaching in the academy, I literally was working with 18-month-old to 4-year-old kids, and they were doing an exercise, a version of sharks and minnows or whatever you want to call it. And I'm curled up in a goal, and they're blasting soccer balls at me, and I'm kind of going. I just played a playoff game against David Beckham 4 weeks ago, and here I am now doing this. So you have to go through those moments though of you have a little bit of doubt. Am I doing the right thing? Is this really the way I want to go? But if you stick with it and you have good people around you that support you, like I have been lucky enough to have, you can kind of work your way up. I think I have a huge advantage too, because I got to see the Philadelphia Union at every level. How does the academy work? How do we want to grow it and build it? How does now, what is it like to be an assistant coach versus a head coach? That was a really humbling thing as well. Some of the things that I remember that I said to John Hackworth as an assistant coach, I look back on now and I go, God, I was the worst assistant ever, because I was saying things and not seeing the big picture of all the moving parts that John had going on to deal with. And sometimes it seems so simple to chime in with different ideas, and I was just wrong, So to be able to go through all those steps, to even fail with the first team a little bit, and I had initially a good start, and then I had some really hard years, no question about it. But the ownership group stuck with me, and through those low times, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about your players, and it only makes you better. So again, I don't have all the answers, and I'm continuing to get better and better. But I really like the group that we have now, the culture that we've created, and I think we've set ourselves up and improved. All you want to do is try to leave it better than it was when you started, and I think we've done that so far, and I think we still have a little bit of work to do, and I'll know when it's time to move on.
Jim, that's so incredible and like nice to hear, because I can relate so much to those moments. When I first started, I remember I was working at a TV station, News 12, and literally on a Sunday, I could be doing Game 7 and talking to Henrik Lundqvist, but at the end of the day, I was making $10 an hour, and then I was waitressing on a Monday and someone's treating you poorly because you didn't bring water with ice, and you want to be like, screw you, I talked to Henrik Lundqvist last night. At the end of the day, you got to just trudge through.
Character building moments.
Yes, it is. Character building moments.
Important. I wish you could bottle those things up and give them to the kids too, and say, you need this, and rather than getting in a fight with that person at the restaurant and maybe sinking your career. You have to be humble and stay quiet and work hard. And eventually, people realize it and recognize that you're, number one, a good person, and number two, are willing to work hard to do anything to help.
You're an example of that, Jim. Good things happen to good people.
Good.
You're one of the faces of the player kids movement that we love to talk about here on MLSsoccer.com. You mentioned guys like Brendan Aronson. You were over in Salzburg and speaking to Jesse Marsh about him, Mark McKenzie, another Academy of Product. I mean, for you, and you talked about how you've seen the union at every single level. You've been a part of the academy. How gratifying is it for you to see kind of the fruits of that labor, and these guys having so much success overseas, growing the league, growing the sport in North America? What does that mean to you?
It's been incredible to watch. The league's done a great job, first and foremost, of becoming and embracing becoming a developmental league. I think that I do believe ultimately MLS will be a top league in the world, and people laugh at me for saying that, but that's the direction it's going, regardless of what anybody wants to tell you, because there's just such great ownership now in the league, and there's such good media coverage, and the stadiums are getting better. So it's coming. It's not a matter of if anymore. It's a matter of, when. Maybe, is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? Is it 15? I don't know, but it's going to happen. But it's great that we've embraced now these years of, let's be a developmental league where now top American kids want to get 34 games here in a really competitive league. And when the time's right for them to move on, we can sell them and turn a profit, which is good for agents. It's good for our league as well. And look, to the kids' point, I mean, I got lucky and had, again, worked in a hotbed of talent in Philadelphia. We've had Pulisic, we've had, Mark McKenzie and Brendan Aronson now. And you see these kids, and I was fortunate enough to see all of them at 8 or 9 years old. And the one thing that reigns true with all these kids is they have great parents. So I think oftentimes we get in this argument over, did Red Bull develop them? Did the Galaxy develop this kid? Did Chivas in Mexico develop them? Those arguments are, okay, sure. We can pick things and say who did a better job of development, but really the parents developed the kids. And it's no coincidence that Mark's an awesome kid, a cool, just great player and a great person because he's got great parents. And it's not a coincidence. Brendan Aronson, his parents were driving him from Medford to union practices basically every day of the week for him and Paxton, because they were committed to it and they saw something in their kid, and they're great people. So it's no coincidence that these kids now are the ones that are making it. They have great work ethic that's been instilled in them by their parents, and they have a good support system. And that's kind of the majority of the battle with this. I remember Mr. Pulisic saying about Christian, and one of the coolest things was he would just let him, Christian was probably 12, 13 years old, and he was clearly better than everybody, and he was a phenom even at that age, but his dad would let him go get ice cream with the other kids, you know what I mean? And he was just a kid and could run around. So that part's really important. I think in development, I think sometimes it gets lost as we sometimes talk about these kids like they're monetary assets or something like that. They're just people, they're kids, and it's been awesome watching so many good ones now in our league. The kid Pepe scores 3 goals last night, and I just think it's going to happen for more and more kids in this league, and it's getting more and more fun to watch and follow.
Oh, I love that. Jim Curtin, do you want to be my life coach after
I
this?
know, right? God.
Let's talk about the Philadelphia Union this year. Let's look in our crystal ball for a second. Take me to this fall. Who do you think, I know that you mentioned there's still a little bit of work to do. And obviously for the Philadelphia Union and you, that is an MLS Cup. So who do you think it's going to come down to for the Philadelphia Union in 2021?
Right now, I think we're a good team. We're not a great team right yet, and that's okay. I'm all right with that. We're right at about the midway point. I think we can compete and we can play with anybody right now, but we're not the finished product. We have a big game coming up against Club America in the Champions League, which will be a real test, and we want to represent the league well. We're nervous for it for sure, but we're also excited for that challenge. So look, you look around the league right now, and obviously New England and Seattle are probably the two that have, separated in each conference. But, more than ever, it's really, really tight after the top teams in each conference. It is like, you're a win out of second place and you're a loss from being out of the playoffs. So, part of that, and the thing that doesn't get brought up, we don't get to play the West Coast teams anymore, which kind of stinks. It's sad. Yeah. I miss the trips to Vancouver and to LA, and
don't we all, Jim?
But what happens with that now is we're taking points from each other every week, and there's no ability to separate. So it's going to come down to the wire. I think it's going to be a really exciting year. The finish is going to be down to the last day of the season. Could be the difference of in the playoffs or literally in third place. I really think that it's going to be that tight. So to answer your question, it's as wide open as ever. I think New England's the team to beat in our conference. Bruce Arena again he's such a winner, and you look at it. There's great coaches all throughout this league, but it does speak to the importance of experience in MLS and knowing this league. As you look at the top, 10 to 12 teams in our table.
Jim, we're just talking about this before. The top 10 teams in the league, the 5 in each conference right now, are coached by MLSers.
Yeah, I think that's it's good to bring that up every once in a while. I'll just say it that way.
Absolutely. It's so funny. We were truly just having that conversation.
I count Adrian Heath and Oscar as they're not international guys anymore. They're
they're here.
They're ours.
They had great international careers and stuff, but also they've been in the States now for quite some time.
Yes, they have.
Yes, they've earned their MLS.
Great job.
MLS.
And doing a great job. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim, this is truly the part that we have been waiting for all day. You have become a bit of a fashion icon amongst MLS coaches. It's 100% true. Did you know that Jill and I are the official fashion police of Major League?
Per Don Garber.
I did hear that. I've heard that.
Not per Don Garber, but we say that.
We've kind of anointed ourselves to that. But you are very high on our list.
I had him at number 1,
coaches.
Suzanne. I think I got my preseason ranking.
Before you guys keep going, I'm not close to the category of Mr. Garber. If you actually break down what he's wearing, by the way, he doesn't mess around. It's all Prada. It's all Gucci. Nobody
can compete. I know, he's the commish, and he dresses like it. So it's not fair.
For the years too. He keeps getting better.
He's on a different level. Yeah, that's an unfair playing field. But you caused a sensation with a hoodie. And you're rocking it. Do you know what? It was just such an accessible look. And you looked so cool, and you had the kicks that matched it. The whole thing.
The glasses got to go. I look like a dork in the glasses.
No, you do not.
No, Jim.
We have a question.
I think I got the hood. The hoodie might be right here, actually.
Get it.
I got the blue. I got the yellow. I got the blue too.
Oh my God!
And they're at the beach. They're at the beach with me now, so they're good. They're good when the weather gets a little cooler at night.
Okay, so our question, Jim. You had the ties. You had tied it in a bow, which is an unconventional look for a hoodie.
On purpose. It was calculated. Sorry.
What was it? No, tell us why.
There's no reason. I just think it looks cleaner that way. I think it looks nicer. I just believe that's it's a little.
Your whole life you've done hoodie bows, Jim?
Well, I just think a hoodie says that I'm casual, but I think the bow says that you actually the real people know. I think the
a bow tie.
The sneakerheads would know. Like when someone walks into a room, I look at their shoes almost right away. So again, you can be cool wearing sneakers, and the price of them doesn't really matter. I tend to notice though if someone's got just a plain white T-shirt and a a pair of whatever shorts, but then has an $800 pair of sneakers on that I like, I kind of go,
You're like,
that's the coolest guy in the room. You know what I mean? For me. So like the subtle thing of tying the bow, I think it shows that I'm casual, but I care, and then people notice that.
I respect that so much.
This insight, Jim, is so helpful because I'll be totally honest with you. In our preseason best dressed MLS coaches rankings, Susanna Collins went with our old friend Lucci Gonzalez.
I had Lucci at 1 and you at 2.
And I picked you at number 1 for the reason that you wore very well tailored suits in the past, in 2020 specifically. So then I said to Susanna Collins, is Jim trying to perhaps sabotage his preseason rankings because I talked about what great suits he wears, and then he comes out with back-to-back hoodies. But now that I know the rooting in it, I'm all about it, and I think you deserve to keep your top spot in the best dressed power rankings. Well, the bow threw me at first, but now I respect it.
But now we know it was mindful, right?
The suit was the story behind the suit was I was the interim coach, and they threw me into the game against New England. Was my first game in New England, and they were better than us by a lot at the time. And I wore a suit in the first game, and we won 3-1. And I thought from that point on, again, I was 34 years old, and I thought at that point, if I don't wear a suit to the next game, the guys, it sends the message to the guys that this one's not as important. I don't know why I had that in my brain, and I stuck with that through the next 5-6 years. And then COVID hit. So I had this window where there's no fans. It's a little casual down in Florida. And I'm like, I got to stop with this buying suits, the dry cleaning, the tie combinations. It's like, it's nauseating. And it
Jim, welcome to our world. Yeah,
I got sick of it. And then I kind of started to get a little more casual, snuck in some good sneakers and realized that it's a lot more important to focus on other stuff on game day than your dry cleaning and getting your suit in order. So it just simplified things, and it's more me anyway. So I'll never wear a suit again unless we go to MLS Cup final or maybe Champions League final. I'll wear a suit for that. But other than that,
listen, we've got eyes on you. We're gonna see if this is true.
It's casual all the way. And then the tricky part is now if you want to get casual and wear some of the stuff in the closet, that's risky too, because then I don't know. I want to try to keep it at least union themed because that doesn't put too much pressure on you, and it's it's tough to come up with stuff each week.
It makes it a lot easier when it's just team themed.
You're trend setting. I love it. I love the thoughtfulness behind this break in this moment, and then post COVID, I am going to start a whole new Jim Curtin era. Ooh, sorry.
That's good. And selfishly too, it's like if I'm spending money on clothes, let's spend it on sneakers. I at least like sneakers. Then Nike, actually, to Nike's credit, they stepped in and they take care of me now. So it's good. I'm going to come out with some new stuff.
I had somebody, one of our followers was like, you need to ask Jim who his hookup is for his kicks. And now we know he's got a guy.
Devin Barkley at Nike. Devin Barkley.
He's got a guy. Okay, so before we let you go,
it was Lapstone and Hammer in Philly. That's a good spot. So for those that don't
listen up, Philly people.
Lapstone and Hammer in Philly, and P's and Q's as well. That's a good one too.
Before we let you go, Jim, if we were to say create a hoodie for you, might we see you sporting
If you make that, I'll wear it. I'll wear that. My daughter's like tie-dyed, so get me that in tie-dyed. I'll wear it. Is it soft though? I like a nice soft.
Oh yeah, we'll make sure it's very soft.
The enzyme wash ones, the 50s, those are good. Make sure it's comfortable.
Don, are you listening? We got to put a sweatshirt in the budget for Jim Curtin, okay?
I'll wear it in Mexico. I'll wear it in Mexico against Club America. They won't know what's going on.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll throw them off their game completely.
Crazy hippie arrived. That's coaching the team.
Amazing. Oh, Jim Curtin, I could have sat here and spoken to you all day. Alas, we will let you go spend time with your family. But thank you so much for coming on. It has been an absolute pleasure. And we wish you nothing but the best the rest of the season. We're going to be watching the fashion looks on the sidelines. No pressure.
I got to step my game up now. And thanks so much for having me. This is honestly the most fun I've had in an interview in at least 7-8 years. So, I appreciate it.
That makes our day. Thanks, Jim Curtin.
What's on tap? Well, this is all kinds of fun. So ahead of the 2021 MLS Skills Challenge presented by AT&T 5G that is part of the All-Star festivities this year in Los Angeles. F2, okay? We all know the F2 guys. They are the kings of the trick shot. When I first was introduced to them, I thought that everything they did was like edited. And then I saw it in real life at All-Star in Orlando. And I was like, oh no, these guys are actually that good. They're incredible. So they're going to be
Should we take them on at All-Star?
No. I think that is a terrible idea. They're so legit, and they are also just very, very cool, nice guys. But they are issuing an open challenge to fans and players everywhere to go out and show off their best and most creative skill attempts at the shooting challenge presented by AT&T 5G or the crossbar challenge presented by Etiquette, which Jill just took me back to a little show that you and I used to be a part of called Beat the Pro, presented by Heineken, where we were a part of a crossbar challenge between the pros and the supporters. And you and I, we would get in there at the end of the shoot.
Rest in peace, that show.
R.I.P.
Gosh.
Beat the Pro. But I do recall both of us hitting the crossbar
at some point,
like a few times.
Oh yeah,
right?
At some point. I mean, we got to hang with some pretty cool guys.
I know.
Chris Winger. Yes. Felipe, like that.
Oh my
show,
God, it was
man.
fun.
Bring it back.
I know.
The call-up crossbar challenge.
It was great.
Little surprise for you, Susanna Collins. I tried to recreate our crossbar face. It wasn't pretty, but what can I say? I just want a ticket to the MLS All-Star
You're
game.
a braver gal
in Los Angeles. So, one day when I'm feeling very low, and like I'm really ready for the interwebs to beat me up, between now and August 15th, when the challenge runs through, I will upload my own attempt.
Yep.
And the nice thing is, Susanna Collins, it just has to be, it's not based on skill. You just need to upload your video.
Just enter.
And to enter, guys, you upload your attempts at the challenges to Instagram or TikTok or Twitter. Here it is. Tag at MLS and use the hashtags, #SkillsAnywhere and #contest. 2 submissions will be chosen for an all expenses paid to the MLS All-Star game. So get to recording. I'm submitting mine. I know that Susanna Collins, she's going to stand on her paddleboard on Lake Finch, and she's going to hit a shot into her dad's jet ski. and me and you will be heading to the MLS All-Star game.
What if maybe, so, we're into the whole like wakeboarding, water skiing thing too. Maybe I could somehow integrate a skills challenge like whilst water skiing.
You 100% could do it.
We'll have to try. We'll see.
Hey.
We'll see how creative. But that's the thing, guys. Have fun with it.
Yes.
It's a chance to win an all-expenses paid trip. Like, we're not talking like just tickets to the game. Like, you get to go have fun and ball out in Los Angeles.
You know what's the good news for you and I,
about.
Susanna Collins? That like we're gonna go anyway.
I know.
So see 2 of you there. Upload your video. Have fun with it. It's like when you're 6 years old and you're in your rec league.
Yeah.
It's just a participation. That's all you got to do to enter, guys. So enter and see what happens. Again, it is ends on August 15th. #SkillsAnywhere. #contest.
Good times to be had. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, for listening. A huge thanks to Jim Curtin for coming on and talking to us for his time. We're going to be working on that hoodie for him, right? We're going to make it. He will wear. We're going to manifest it right now into reality. He will wear a call-up hoodie. What's up, everybody? It is Susanna Collins and Jillian Sakovitz, co-hosts of The Call-Up. And if you want more call-up action, hit like and subscribe right here on YouTube, right there.
And also make sure that you download every episode of The Call-Up every single Tuesday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time or anywhere that you get your podcasts. And while you're here, why not check out some of these other videos as well?